Um, anyway, we are going to go ahead and get started here, I think. And I'll just have to keep chatting looking on the left side here to make sure everybody can make it in with it. Got two monitors and stuff. I'm still kind of getting used to Zoom myself, especially when I'm the presenter. So anyway, let's just go ahead. It's a few minutes after 7, so we'll just try and honor your time and stick to an hour here. So let's go ahead and get started. So I want to welcome you to the March 24th, 2021 uh, lesson number 2, webinar number 2 on an introduction to short sale profits, presented by your one and only super group leader, David Randolph. This is our super group called Short Sale Profits. So we only talk about short sales on this webinar. There are many other webinars you can go look and watch covering other subjects. We'll answer all questions related to it. So do drop your questions into the chat box. I'll try to blow through the slides. We have too many slides to get in an hour. So once again, if you text the word short to 636-685-2990, then you can get all the slides and you can actually get a free, much longer video recording of this short sale presentation. So with that, we will go ahead and see if I can make sure I can figure out how to get the slides to move with it. Okay, there we go. So that little disclaimer stuff will fly through this. Some people know me already. Some may have been on the first webinar that we did with it. So I'll just say I'm not an attorney or an accountant, real estate agent or anything like that. I'm not, not even an actor. I don't play one on TV. No part of this presentation, written or verbal, is meant to be tax or legal advice. As I said, I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. And this material is just my interpretation, my experience with short sales for the past 10 years with it. I am the founder of Short Sale Profits and the founder of thedavidrandolph.com. Davidrandolph.com was taken by somebody else. And so I have my website, thedavidrandolph.com. You can get lots of information from there. So why should you listen to me? Why did they choose me to be the supergroup leader for our short sales? Okay, well, I learn from the best people out there, both local and national experts. I do a lot of research. I do a lot in real estate. I make a lot of money. I like processes. I like to go step by step with procedures. I like to create procedures. I am a full-time entrepreneur with multiple businesses and income streams. I don't have a day job. Okay, I do not have a day job. I have reached that freedom point. I do have a chemical engineering degree, and that is something that is and can be a problem for some people because I'm very detailed, very much following procedures and checklists. I retired from my corporate job back in 2006 at the age of 42. That's a whole nother story there, how that happened. But my wife and I became full-time real estate investors in 2010 with it and stuff. And so I'm just a small guy, really. I don't work for some big company that does $500 million transactions through a broker's license. I'm just a regular guy with a regular LLC. My Realty Renovator LLC buys, rehabs, and sells just about 5 to 10 houses per year. All of my renovated houses, put on the MLS, under 260,000. Those have all sold in 7 days or less at list price or higher for now 10 years. So yes, they are drop dead gorgeous houses. Actually, in 16 through 18, they sold in 2 days or less. My typical profit's about $90,000 per house. I'll give you my range basically. With short sales, I make $50,000 to $150,000 profit on each house, and these are $250,000 houses. And this is why I'm teaching short sales. I negotiate and buy houses, by working with the homeowner and the lender. This is not a short sale listed on the MLS with a realtor. I am not looking for short sales on the MLS. Rather, I am working with the homeowner and the lender directly. And so, like I said, my renovated houses are drop dead gorgeous. Guys, in real estate, it is a dream come true. You can quit your job. You can basically achieve your financial freedom. I've made almost $3 million in my retirement accounts, and I actually lend that out to other rehabbers now and wholesalers for about the past 6 years. In my private lending program here, I'll lend you all the money to buy it, the house. I'll lend you all the money to fix the house up. I'll lend you all the money for the points on the loan, and I'll lend you all the money for the monthly interest payments. So my heart and passion, guys, is to help new rehabbers get started. And a lot of hard money lenders will give you 100 grand to buy the house, and you got to spend your own 50 grand to fix the house up. Well, who's crazy enough to risk their only 50 grand? Something goes wrong and you only get 40 back. So my heart and passion is to help new rehabbers get out of their job, be able to quit, and be able to be a full-time real estate entrepreneur, investor, and stuff. So there's a lot of different things in here. We'll kind of skip some of this. I just started recently doing one-on-one coaching. And I developed a couple of half-day workshops in how to calculate the ARV in the rehab, of a project. I did my first short sale presentation for a public group in July of 2019. The local group knew me, knew what I was making, and they said, David, you got to tell everybody else about it. And so ever since then, I've been teaching people. I have one-on-one coaching that I do. I've got 3 workshops, and I've got group coaching. I've got a basic workshop, intermediate, and advanced, and you only need to take the basic workshop. And stuff. But in here we've got a short recap, guys. So we'll go back into your portal, pull up the first lesson, the first webinar, and get the basis of what each of these presentations are going to be built on and continue on. So I will do a little recap here, so that you have are up to speed and have everything that you need on it and stuff. And then once again, like I said, drop your contact info in the chat box. Share that with everybody. Tell what city you're from on there. A lot of people from Atlanta, but that's okay, because these contacts you make are going to be your future business you're going to do with other people. I can almost guarantee it, and stuff like that. So what is a short sale? Just to kind of recap a little bit on it. So a short sale is basically where the homeowner, they owe more money on that house than what they would get if they tried to sell it. So if they went up on the market and sold it, the payoff would not be enough to pay everybody. Now, what a lot of people don't understand, it's not just the loan on the house that has to get paid off. You've got any second liens, you've got any equity lines of credit, any judgments, any tax liens on that house. As if you've been involved in real estate investing, you put a house on the MLS, you're only going to get 80 to 90% of the list price, because you've got 6% commission, you've got inspections, and you've got closing costs and a lot of other stuff. So basically, there's a lot of loans to pay off and everything. And so, so they owe more, than what they can get from selling it. If there's a pending foreclosure, they usually only have 30 to 60 days to sell. Okay. And this is basically in Missouri, there's 2 30-day letters that come out. Each state's a little bit different. So legally, the state of Missouri only requires posting an ad for 21 days. For those of you in Georgia, that's 30 days. For those of you in Texas, it's also 21 days. So the lawyers will kind of send out usually some letters ahead of time to the homeowner with it. Typically there's deferred maintenance and repairs are needed, that the buyer can't afford to pay for those. They want to buy a house squeaky clean, ready to go with it and everything and stuff. And so, but anyway, so that's, whoops, let me get back over here on it. Now, most buyers can't cannot get a traditional loan because the approval process takes too long. So what happens is the bank, the lender, isn't going to approve the buyer when they're getting a traditional loan versus cash. The reason is the bank doesn't want to take a chance that the buyer doesn't qualify. Okay, so in a short sale, you should always make a cash offer. The lender requires the sale of the home to be as is. Okay, so when you're looking to do short sales, you always want to have the buyer with their purchase sale contract be an as is contract. Okay, the bank does not want the seller spending any money on repairs. I mean, think about it. The bank is going to not get all their loan paid back. Why do they want the seller to make the house better for the buyer, right? Okay, so basically, it has to be as is with it. The lender, this is interesting, guys. The lender has to approve the buyer, and the buyer cannot change. So they actually are approving both the seller being qualified to do the short sale and the buyer. Okay, the buyer cannot be related to the seller. Okay, so they're not going to let the seller sell the house to their sister or to their brother or their son or their uncle. So the buyer cannot be related to the seller. All parties, in fact, need to be unrelated unless you disclose that, in which case the bank usually cuts the realtor's commission to zero. So the seller, the buyer, the seller's agent, the buyer's agent, and the title company cannot be related, to the seller. Okay. And so the lender requires the ability to cancel the listing agreement at any time, without payment, without payment of, the commission. That's a little statement you need to have in your listing agreement. On non-FHA loans, okay, the lender may put a deed restriction on the buyer. In other words, they cannot sell that house within 30 days for any price. And then there's an even longer one at 90 days. Up to 90 days, they cannot sell the house for more than 20% of what they paid for the house. Okay, on it. So all lenders, they require a series of documents to be submitted. And feel free to throw any questions into the chat box. I'm kind of checking my other screen here, and I'll periodically look, or we'll stop at the end and save some time for questions and come back to that. We can always change the slides back to where we have it. But anyway, all lenders require a series of documents to be submitted, and it goes into like two categories, really. You got the RMA form. That's the bank's documents. That's the bank's form that you fill out. And in that form, it asks for these documents that you see on the screen with it. As you see in the bottom here, text short to 636-685-2990. And you can get a copy of all these slides. I don't have time for you to write everything down with it. Plus you have the recording. You can go back and watch it. But if you want a hard copy of the slides, and the full presentation, just text short to that number there. The other set of packet of documents is what called the realtor documents. Those are what you see on the screen: listing agreement, special sales contract. Guess what, guys? You don't send the lead paint document to the bank. It's not required. Okay, so you don't give the bank, what they, you don't give the bank anything. You only give them what they ask for, and the lead paint's not it. You got contractor estimate, comps, a letter of explanation. You got a whole packet that you have to submit for the short sale and stuff. And so basically um, there's a set of documents that you have. Now, the lender is going to do a broker price opinion. That's kind of like a really, really cheap appraisal. So it's done by a realtor, not a licensed appraiser. So it's a level down. They only pay like $50 for it, or less for that. And they're going to use that to determine the value of the house. Now, FHA requires a full appraisal. So if you're working on a short sale where it is a FHA loan, the homeowner, the loan they have on the current house is FHA, then they actually require a full appraisal. So you won't make quite as much money on those when you're negotiating with the bank. It's really easy to negotiate a low price when they're doing a BPO, a broker price opinion, because it's not as
Alexa,
accurate
read my
with it and
notification.
everything on it. And so go ahead and drop your question in the chat box, Angela, with it and stuff. The and so the result is an approval letter giving you 30 days to close. To achieve that, to get that, takes 3 to 9 months. Okay, with it and stuff. And so a short sale can happen quick if you want to not get a low price. So I did one in 2 months once. I was doing it for my coaching students. I wanted to record the entire thing. And so I Zoomed it, used Zoom for the entire short sale, even at 11 o'clock at night when I was working on papers. And I did it in 2 months. So that's pretty quick, okay? So you have to expect about 3 months. It could even be up to 6 months. There are occasionally some that take 9 months. But the result of it is, at the end, you're going to get an approval letter from the bank, and then you still have about 30 days that you can close. Now, don't wait that long, right? If you're making a $50,000 to $150,000 profit on your house, like I do on my house, we don't wait 30 days to close, do we? We get that sucker closed, really quickly, because we don't want to have anything change or have the oh my gosh, you don't want the seller to pass away. You don't want the bank to sell the loan to somebody else with it and stuff. Anyway, so the lender is negotiating the sales price of the house, okay, and they're actually looking at the net to the bank. That's really what they're looking at. Is they don't care what the actual price of the house is. They want to know what's the net to them after real estate commissions, taxes, and all these other things that can be on there. What's the net? And they're going to negotiate that, with either the listing agent or the listing agent's short sale processor. I am teaching you to be the short sale processor. Okay. I am not teaching you to have somebody else negotiate short sales. Now, if you want to hire an assistant in your office, a bookkeeper to push the paperwork for you and to do the paperwork, that's fine. But the actual negotiation with the bank, I don't want you doing short sales for a flat fee, for somebody else for $3,000. Look, you're going to learn a skill here over these webinars that's going to allow you to make $50,000 to $150,000 profit. Do that for you. It's your house, your entity. One of your entities is going to be the buyer. Okay, and so you're the processor of the short sale. So in almost all states in the United States, except for Florida and California, you do not have to be an attorney or a realtor to process a short sale. And so in those two states, what you do is you just work with a realtor and kind of do it under their account and under their review. But anyway, the main thing is that it's really important for all the parties to be unrelated on paper. Now, what does that mean on paper? Well, that would be a whole nother topic for another webinar. What does that mean, unrelated on paper? I'll just say this to kind of give you a clue. When you sign your name, you should almost always have a comma. It should be David Randolph, comma. It should be Michael Chapman, comma. And after that comma should be manager, should be member, should be some description of what you're actually signing your name for. And so you can represent many different entities in this system. Okay, so why do them? Okay, I'll just kind of recap real quick here with this on why to do them. I've got some new material coming up here with it. So the seller is going to be foreclosed if the bank's not paid in full. The bank wants their loan paid off, and they will be foreclosed on if they don't get the loan paid off. And so you have to step in and you have to negotiate a compromise with everybody. The borrower will have a deficiency, and they'll so if the bank forecloses, then the borrower is going to have a deficiency and owe the balance that's not recovered by the bank. Versus if they do the short sale, then the seller is going to get up to about a $3,000 check at closing. Now, the state of Arizona does not have a deficiency, but most other states have some form or version of a deficiency, which means that the bank takes the house back, they put it on the courthouse steps, they sell it later, and they sell it for a low amount. and they look at how much was owed and there's a difference between the two, you have to make that up. They can come after you in Missouri for 7 years to get that money back from you. And a lot of sellers don't know that and stuff. And also in the foreclosure, the borrower will have about a 300-point hit on their credit score for 5 to 7 years if they get foreclosed. Those are powerful things to tell the seller to help, convince them to do that. Short sale with you, to sign up with you and everything. So, the borrower may have to file bankruptcy. So, you don't want to go to foreclosure. So a lot of times the borrower might file a bankruptcy, but that's going to hurt them for 5 years. And then guess what, guys? A lot of people don't know this. The bank has to turn around and foreclose on the house to get title. Okay, people don't realize that now they have both the bankruptcy on their credit and a foreclosure on their credit report. And a lot of people don't understand that. So you want to preempt that and say, no, stop. Let me do the short sale first, and let me try to get the foreclosure postponed on it. Here's another good reason why to do them. For the borrower, they're going to have to move out prior to foreclosure date. If this thing gets foreclosed, they do not own that house any longer on that foreclosure date. And on a short sale, they stay in the house the whole time you're negotiating. And that's very powerful for the homeowner. The borrower gets to start over and saves their money while the short sale is being negotiated. So they're not making payments because they can't afford them. So during the short sale negotiation, they're able to save their money up with it. Why do them? There's a lot of gratification. So for you, okay, you're helping families out. They cry at the closing table with relief. Look, they've been struggling with the bank for years. They've missed payments, they've made payments, they've missed them again. They've had problems with maintenance. They've had, a leak here, the basement's leaked. They haven't had money to fix it, and they just want to be gone from the house. They just want to start over somewhere else. So when you get that finally closed, where that approval letter says they owe zero, and here's potentially a $3,000 check from the bank, never from you. You never pay the seller, ever. That's fraud. You'll go to jail. You cannot pay the seller money to do the short sale. Okay, and so they cry because they're so happy. The buyer, we bring up the value of homes in subdivision. We're going to take that dilapidated house that was maybe vacant or not being taken care of. We're going to fix it all up and sell it, at a really high price. And so the buyer, we provide a lot of jobs to a lot of people versus it sitting there and just decaying and everything. And so another reason to do them, for you, it's right there on the screen, but I'll tell you where it comes from. In real estate, there's this phrase, with real estate, it's all about location, location, location. Well, I'm going to tell you with short sales, it's all about massive profits, massive profits, massive profits. And that's one very big reason, 3 big reasons to do short sales. Well, let me just show you a little bit about that, okay? Now, I did show this one last time, but I just kind of a refresher. I'll show you some other houses I didn't show you on the first webinar that we did with it. So this is one that I did here in O'Fallon. It happens to be back in 2015. A little ranch, not a big deal. I rehabbed it and I sold it for $205,000 on it. I did a $71,000 rehab. It was a full rehab. I finished the basement. The house, the story on that is that house flooded. The subdivision flooded, and a tree, a branch, hit the basement window, broke the glass, and the water from the street ran into the basement, and it was not a walkout, and it filled up with water all the way to the kitchen, the front step with it. And so that was a $71,000 rehab on it. Okay. What would you guys have paid for that house? Okay, so it's a little quiz here. Okay, so those who are new to real estate, a lot of times you use the Mayo formula, and you basically take the ARV, which we know what the ARV is because I already sold it. So you take 205,000 times, say 0.75, and then you subtract the rehab cost. Okay, that's a general formula that we have that most people follow. And so if you follow that form, well, no, hold on a second here. I'm not going to let you get away that easy. In the chat box, I want you to drop in, what would you have paid for this house? Okay, so you sold it for 205,000. You put 71 in it. Okay, so you obviously, had to pay less than 130. Otherwise, you'd lose money. But you got commission. You've got real estate taxes. You want some profit too. So drop in the chat box, guys. Go ahead, just make a guess. What would you have paid for this house? Something less than $130,000. Go ahead, drop it in the chat box, guys. I'm waiting on it. Go ahead. Alka, you were here last time. You should probably know the answer on it. Are you guys able to drop something? Okay, 40K. Good. I like that, Fatima. You are very, very good. Okay, come on, guys. 100. Okay, that's okay. Michael, you're a little tad high. Mayo formula says 82,000. So you're a tad high, but you're not too greedy. But keep in mind you got to set some standards and stuff. But anyway, I won't take up too much time on it and stuff. So basically, I paid $33,900 for it. I made $99,000 profit on that house. So I sold it for 205, put 70 in it, and I bought it for 33,000. Okay. Does that answer the question of why I do short sales? Okay, well, if not, let's look at another one. Okay. Now, you guys didn't see this on the first one that we did on it. So these are some new houses. Okay, this is a house, didn't do anything to it. My son went into it and he screwed down the plywood floors so they didn't squeak. That's all we did to it. Okay. I sold it for $240,000 in cash. Okay. I call it $2,200 in holding costs. Fix some squeaks, got to pay for some utilities, right? Okay. So I sold it for 240. What would you have paid for this house? Go ahead and throw a guess in there. Okay. There actually wasn't even any real estate commission, and there wasn't any rehab. So I got some profit and stuff. But what would you pay? What would you paid for this house? Okay. Go ahead and throw something in there on it. 80K. Fatima, boy, we're going to give you a gold certificate. You're a born short sale negotiator. I like that. Now, think about that though. 240 minus 80. Wow, that's a lot. Oh, good, Michael. Good. Oh, man, we're converting people over here. I love it. Okay. And everything. Very, very good. Okay. I paid $158,000 for that house. I made $80,000 and didn't do anything to it. Okay. How's that for a wholesale deal? I bet they don't do that in the wholesale class. They teach you to make $5,000, but on short sales, I make $80,000. Okay. So does that answer why you should do short sales? Even houses you don't do anything to them, you can make 80 grand in just a couple days. Okay. With it. So let's look at this one. Okay. This is another house. I sold it for 203. I did do $7,000 of work in it because I fixed the steps. I put in a new dishwasher, and the laundry room was terrible. Oh man, it looks like they never kept things contained inside of the dryer, and just there's a mess. Everything just terrible. Crazy. And so I painted the laundry room on it and stuff. So basically, sold it for $203,000. Okay, put $7,000 into it. Okay, so I paid so what would you pay for this? It has to be less than 196,000, otherwise you'd lose money on it. And we're getting low on time here. So what would you pay for it? Okay, on it, paid 112,000. I made $85,000 again. Okay, so you can consistently make and wholesale for $80,000 short sale houses with it. So does that answer the question why to do short sales? Okay, well, let's look at another one. Okay, so here's some. Okay, here's one that was last year with it. I sold it for $275,000, and I bought it for $29,600. Now I did put $80,000 in it. So I had 110 in it. So I made 160,000 on that house. Now here's another one. Okay, this was an FHA. I sold it for 202. I put 36 in it, and so I made about 70,000 on that with it and stuff. So I'm kind of showing you guys the lower end of houses. If you can wholesale a house for 80 grand. I've got numerous houses that I showed on go back to webinar 1, and I showed you, a lot of $150,000 profit houses. And yes, we did do, rehabs on them and stuff. So anyway, so you want to look at another one? Just kidding. We don't have all night with it and stuff. Okay, so now how to get them. Okay, let's get into some good stuff here. This is some new material with it. You guys want to know where to find them, and that's what we're covering tonight. Okay, and there's actually a document that's required to be able to do short sales. It's a crucial document. You can do nothing without this document. And so, and so if you want to text the word short to my number there, 636-685-2990. I'll send you the slides, and I'll send you, the full length video on this, and you can look at that and see if this is what you want to do, and I can give you that document. Okay, that won't cost anything. The slides are free. The full length video is free. We don't charge for things here on this group, on this webinar. Okay, so now how to get them. Okay, so marketing. Let's talk about marketing. Marketing's a loose word. Marketing, you have to find them. That's what you have to do. And so, that's a big part of short sales. Okay, I mean, if you don't reach out to the homeowner, nothing's going to happen, right? Okay, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Well, if you're not in the woods cutting it down, it probably doesn't make sound. You need to be out there. You need to be with the seller. Where's the seller at? Okay, well, here's something that people don't understand. This is crucial to a short sale, guys. In all states, the lender is required to post the legal description and the borrower's name for 21 days straight. Now, this is in Missouri, okay? It's 21 days in Texas, 30 days in Georgia, and different states have a little bit different date with it. But the point here is that you are looking in the legal newspaper. This is not your paper with the comics section and the coupons. That's not that. This is something called a legal newspaper for your county. So all short sales and foreclosures go by county. They don't go by city, and they don't go by zip code. They go by county. And so you'll want to locate the legal newspaper. And I'm about to show you how to do that and how to find them. This was not presented on the webinar 1. And so let's target these people, okay? So now I'm going to give you an example for where these are found at in St. Louis, Missouri, and Kansas City, Missouri with it. And so, if you want to text short or communicate with me, with that through my number, 636-685-2990, we can find, your your internet site. So what I advocate is not to go buy the legal newspaper in paper form, but rather to get the internet-based subscription, for that legal qualification. So that legal newspaper has things like divorces, construction bids, government bids. This is a legal newspaper with it. And so I'm going to show you how to get this for those who are in Kansas City and St. Louis area. And so this website is what we use in Missouri, called Missouri Lawyers Media. And you can text the word short and get these websites, okay? And it basically consists of 4 different newspapers. One, they're shown on the screen here, you can see them. So for each of these counties, St. Louis City, St. Charles, and Jefferson County, they each have their own name. To get a subscription for all these counties, it's only $49 a month and everything. And if you're actually in Missouri, I have a way to actually get this at no cost. to get the data for you that you need at no cost through a little trick that the Missouri Lawyers Media leaves available on their website. But in general, if you were to pay for this, it's only $49 a month with it. So this is not, not expensive. And feel free to throw any questions into the chat box, and I'll answer those or stop it, or answer them at the end. So now I'm going to show you now. Okay, I am showing you the website for Missouri Lawyers Media, but you're going to find that it's the same type of internet pages. You're going to click on the same things that I'm going to show you to click on, and how to find them. So basically, all these counties, when you pull them up, they usually show you like a map view. And so you can see here, there's currently 818. Now, this is actually pre-pandemic. This is not today. This is a slide from pre-pandemic with it, but there's 818, in St. Louis. Isn't that phenomenal? I only want one. Okay, Alka, you can have the second one. Michael, you can have the third one. Ron, you can have the fourth one. Fatima, you can have the fifth one. Fatima, we'll give you two. Your offer prices were so low. You got the right mentality for a short sale. You get two of these. Now we've got 802 left, and next month it starts all over, guys. Okay, this is pre-pandemic numbers anyway. So what I'm showing you here is the opening website. Now, focus carefully on what I marked in red on the screen. So on the website, you're going to go to their search tools, and you're going to scroll down and you're going to select real estate. Keep in mind, I said this is a legal newspaper. So here's business, government, personal property, probate. We're only looking at the tab for real estate, okay? That's the one we're looking at. So, get these slides if you can't take notes fast enough. So when you click on that, it's going to pull up a page that looks like this. And so this page is a new search for real estate. And it's going to, give you a date range. It's going to put a record type. It's going to have other questions about what you're going to enter in. And so what you put in here for St. Louis is you're going to select the St. Charles County business record. If you want in St. Louis, you do the drop-down box. You choose your state for Missouri, and you choose public notice. And now this is very important. Here, write this down, trustee sales. You're looking for the trustee sales in your county. Okay, so when you click on that, it's going to pull up this page, and these are all the ones that it found for St. Charles County. And so it's going to have a clickable link on the left-hand side. It's going to have the zip code, because remember, we're doing it by county. This is all St. Charles County, and there's different zip codes inside of it. It's going to tell you the date, the auction date. That's the foreclosure date. That's the date it's too late, okay? And so these were from June of 2019. They were posted on May 28th, 21 days prior. So you're looking at this date here. If it's June 17th, and tomorrow's the foreclosure, well, you're too late. You want to get on this when it first publishes, and you have 21 days on it. So now you click on one of those, okay, go back, click on one of these houses on the left-hand side, 3958 Cambridge Crossing, click on one of them. It's going to bring this screen up, and then it's going to show you who the trustee is. Okay, so it may be trustee, it could be mortgager, it could be the attorney, a little bit different names, but these are basically the ones that are running and in charge of the foreclosure. They represent the bank, okay, and stuff like that. So the parties involved, okay. So we're on the tab for parties, and so you're looking for that law firm, so that you can work with them. Now, not all counties show you an actual picture of the posted ad. So this is a picture of the newspaper itself. Okay, so you can see here, here's the name of that borrower, and here's the page number and book number of the loan, and then here's the date that the loan was taken out, and then over here it says the date that it's being foreclosed on. So you can actually get all that information from there with it. And so, so anyway, you're going to also go and look at that file or case number. You'll need that as a reference, if you speak to the attorney. Then there's usually an auction tab. Now, maybe all this is on one page. This does it in tabs, for this particular county. So you're looking for the auction date. Okay, so this was July 23rd, 2019 at 9 a.m. and the place is at the St. Charles Courts Administration Building. Okay, and so it's always going to be your county courthouse. It gives you the address and everything with it. And then ours is really good. It actually shows you the minimum bid. Now I will tell you that the minimum bid is usually zero until about the day before they foreclose on it. So you're going to be dealing with these way before the foreclosure date. You can't wait until the foreclosure date to contact the seller to help them out, because you have to stop this foreclosure date, okay, with it and stuff. So anyway, so now, okay, so a lot of times what I like to do, this is part of the bigger presentation. I would ask for a volunteer and we would read an actual script with a seller. Okay, what would you say to them and stuff. We'll do another presentation probably on marketing letters. Maybe we'll do that on the next webinar with it, but right now you have to find them, okay? And so this was also a script that I have for, what do you say? This is an actual seller call typed up in words. And so on another lesson, come to another lesson, another webinar, you get all these for free, okay, in here with the type of subscription that you're on, unless you're on a free one kind of thing. But, if you're on a paid subscription, you get, you get these for free. So come back, on those and see them. But this is some of the key points from that script. Okay, so you want to notice key areas in that script, such as there's X number of years to come get the money from you, that deficiency. These are things that you tell the seller. This was an actual live conversation with one of the houses that I did. The credit hit for the foreclosure and the bankruptcy, but not a big credit hit for a short sale. It's only about 50 points. A couple other key points from that, they cannot net as much of the sales price if they try to sell it. So a lot of times the seller says, well, I'm just going to put it on the MLS and sell it. We have to let them know in that script there, they're not going to net what they list it for. So a lot of realtors make a big mistake, and they list a home for the value of the loan, okay? One, the house isn't worth the loan, so it's not going to sell in the first place. And the second place, they're going to be short about 10% on the money, so they can't actually pay the loan off anyway. So they're not going to net enough to be able to pay it off. And then, in that script, okay, which we'll cover on another webinar later due to time constraints, is that absolutely let them know you intend to make a profit. So when you're talking to the seller, okay, and you're coming to the seller as a buyer, and you're going to let them know that you want to buy the house for a really low price, fix it up and sell it for a really high price, and then you're going to make your money from that sale. Because a lot of times, guys, they're going to ask you, well, why are you negotiating the short sale, processing the short sale, doing the short sale for me? What's your incentive? If I'm not going to pay you anything. And so let me kind of, I said this in the first webinar, I will repeat it on this one. Never, ever, ever let the seller pay you a fee. Do not accept any money to do the short sale. That is that's a loan origination officer. That requires a license number. You're not doing a loan modification for the seller. It's not what you're doing here. You're doing a short sale. And so, someone that does a loan modification, they charge a fee for that, and they have to have a license. So you are not going to charge a fee. And so they want to know, well, what are you doing this for? And just tell them, hey, look, I'm going to get you out of this debt. I'm going to get you out of the credit, score. I'm going to buy the house and make a profit. That's what I'm going to try to do for you, Mr. Seller. So that's now they understand your motive. And like I said, if you want this, script, get the full length presentation, text short to 636 685-2990. You can see it on the bottom of the slide there with it and stuff. So that's what you say to them. Yeah. Okay. So like I said, well, that's, on future webinars, I'll insert the material, in here. That was kind of what I just said with that script with it. So anyway, we're running out of time, guys. In summary, what I want to do is summarize up and open it up to questions. Leave a few minutes for questions, and you can throw them in the chat box, or you can also just holler them out. But but in summary, what I want to do is, just kind of, say that you can make a lot of money negotiating short sales directly with the bank as an investor. Okay, this is not doing short sales for a flat fee for 100 different realtors in your city. This is for you to make the profit yourself. You can help families out of a crisis that is still occurring. Look, I've been doing this since 2009. I never stopped. The pandemic has only increased the number of short sales by 5-fold. Do you see these numbers on here? 40 in my county, 300 in St. Louis. These are pre-pandemic numbers. The numbers are 5 times higher than that due to the forbearance plan that's in play here and stuff. Here's something neat. There's no competition. So let's think about this. You're out there buying houses off the MLS. You're buying them through direct mail. You're buying them from wholesalers. All these kind of dynamics on how you're buying your houses. Well, in all those cases, aren't you competing against other buyers? It's on the MLS, and everybody's putting an offer in. And if it's not on the MLS and you're dealing directly with the seller, well, the seller has a price they want for the house. Well, in a short sale, there's no competition. There are no other buyers. I will repeat, there are no other buyers. And if that doesn't make sense to you, tune into my future webinars. Get my full-length presentation by texting short to my phone number. There are no other buyers on this house. The seller doesn't care what the price is. He's underwater. He's not going to get anything in the sale of his home anyway. So when he gets a check from the bank at closing, and it's irrelevant what the price of the house is, he's not arguing that he wants so much for the house with it. So anyway, that's kind of the summary of it there. There's my email contact information. There's my website. Text short, to get that document with it and stuff. So I want to open it up to questions. We have a few minutes left here. So anybody go ahead and unmute yourself and just go ahead and start talking with it. Just go ahead and ask any questions about the material or short sales. And don't be bashful. Okay, you guys are bashful on it. Dex, I'm going to ask you, do you have any questions? Go ahead and unmute yourself and tell me what you thought of the presentation. If you don't mind speaking.
Yes. I think my question was answered. I wanted to find out how often do you get the short sale? How often? But it was just answered a minute ago.
Okay, well, that's kind of a good question. I'll add to the answer to that. How often do you get the short sale? In 10 years, Dex, I have lost 4 short sales in 10 years. Okay, and the reason that I lost them, and keep this in mind, I said there's this BPO, there's this broker price opinion. When the bank sends their representative out to the house to tell you what it's worth, you have to meet that person at the house. You must be there. You must give them a packet of information. Okay, and the 4 that I lost was basically because I wasn't there. So in one case, the BPO agent just knocked on the door and showed up, and the seller, the homeowner, let him in. And I'm like, are you crazy? Do you just let strangers into your house? They had no appointment. And so what happened is the BPO agent walked into the kitchen and walked right back out and got in his car, and he turned in a really high price for the house because he didn't even look at it. and it was like 5 days before the foreclosure date, and I could not stop it in time, okay, because they had a price because the guy came in the house. So that's a crucial thing, and that's the reason that I've lost, the 4 that I did. So when you follow my process and my steps and my procedures, it's not a question of what percentage do you get. It's just a question of what price are you going to pay for the house. Okay. And I can tell you today in this pandemic, the prices are very low. I had a student last week, 2 weeks ago, buy a house for $24,000. That's worth about 150. Okay. Now they have to put 30 in it. So they bought it for 24. They're putting 30 in it. So they have 54, but it's worth about 150. Okay. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, I had another similar situation. And so, the banks are, they're wanting to get rid of their houses because there's so many that are in forbearance that when you come in with an offer, they're accepting, a very low offer with it. And so you will get the house. It's just how low is the price, with it. So that was a good question. Other questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Thank you,
Um,
David.
s-
Go ahead, Fatima.
so I talked to a couple of realtors, agents here, and they told me that right now the market is crazy because people are buying houses like 20 to 30K over the actual market value. So I'm wondering, is that a correct statement, or they're just telling me this in order to prevent me from short selling?
That's ignorance on the realtor's part. So you're talking apples and oranges. The statement that they said to you has absolutely nothing to do with anything I'm teaching. The short sale already has a buyer. The buyer is you. You're going to offer $25,000 for the house. There's nobody that's going to be bidding $30,000 over for the house because the seller is in a short sale situation. And in the short sale situation, they want you to negotiate a conclusion to this so that they have zero deficiency. Okay, so do you see how the two are unrelated?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
So one more question. So the seller cannot put their house on the market, like
correct.
in Zillow?
Absolutely, exactly. You're right. That is correct. Here's why. I don't know if we have anybody on the call that is a realtor, that is a licensed realtor. I want you to jump in right after I say this, but it is not a requirement to put a home on the MLS to sell it. A realtor is someone who is finding a buyer for the seller's house. And if they have a list of 100 people on their email list that buys houses, the seller simply wants someone who can do these things: pay cash, pay as is, who can close, that the bank will approve the buyer. And so the realtor simply has to have somebody, and it's you, Fatima, because you will pick the realtor to be the realtor on that house. Okay, the realtor is not
Yeah.
in charge of this. Okay, they are not in charge of the short sale. They are just a one person involved in this, just like the title company. Title company has a role to search for title. The realtor has one job, and that's to give you the paperwork that is needed for the listing agreement. But they're not doing any work, so to speak. You are processing all the paperwork. They have no say
Okay.
in this. You are the boss. Okay, you tell them what to do with it because you're working directly with the seller. So you do not, it is not a law that look, I own my own house, right? I'm sitting in it now. It's cash. You know what?
Mhm.
I I could burn it down if I wanted to, if I didn't have any insurance. I'd take my
Mhm.
insurance off. I could burn this. It's my house and I can sell it to anybody I want. And guess what? That's exactly what's happening in a short sale. That seller wants to sell it to you because you said those things to him in the script that we don't have because it's going to be the
Yeah.
next webinar or text
Mhm.
short to get that. So it's a very good question. Anybody else on here have a question? Please unmute yourself.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like to answer questions. No question is a dumb question at all. with it. So ask anything. I really like new people asking questions on it. Okay, anybody else got a question on it? Angela, I've seen you before. Do you have any questions? Angela, do you have any questions? I think you're on the first webinar. Okay, I don't know if she can unmute herself or not with it. Hey, Ron, what about you? You're a good old buddy. I've known you for a while. Any questions I can answer for you?
No, not right now. I guess I'm good.
Okay, so like I said, you've got these recordings. Go back and look at that, information. Look, guys.
So if you record, we can go back and pick the recording. I'll probably look at it again.
Yep. And also, like say, if you text me, I can send you the slides with it. But the recording, now it'll take about 2 days for them to get the recording up with it. But go back and relook at the slides. I appreciate you guys being on here. I'm going to kind of make something available to you guys only because you're on this call here. If you text me your county that you're in, I'll get up with you later on a phone call or something and kind of help you find your county, because as you know, I can only show and pick one county for this. I don't know who's coming from where. So since you took the time to be on this webinar, if you want to text me the county that you're in, I'll work with you to kind of find the internet website.
Can you do Louisiana too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The county.
So just text a couple of counties or something.
Yeah, well, no, not a couple counties. Here's what I recommend. Look, you need to know your exit strategy on the house. So you need to know, I want to rehab, I wanted to get rentals. So I want you to pick the county that's closest to where you live within 20 minutes, because, if you're rehabbing, it's going to beat you up. So you pick the county that's close to you. But here's the trick. I want you to pick houses that are in the $150,000 to $300,000 price range. That's the FHA range. Okay, that's where you're going to have the largest population. Okay, with it. That's where you're going to be able to do house after house after house. Don't do that $1 million house. Okay, because there's just not a lot of those out there. So pick the county close to you and pick the county that's got that kind of house in that $200,000 price range. And some place in Louisiana, Ron, you might not have that expensive of a house. So just kind of take a look at that. But yeah, just text that to me, and later this week.
So about 150 to 300.
Yep, exactly. That's your FHA loan limit. So if you were to rehab a house and sell it, your buyer can only get a loan up to about $350,000. After that, it's a conventional loan with it and stuff. And so the FHA loans are the ones that are in trouble right now. Okay, there's twice as many in foreclosure. Actually, let me rephrase that. What is 10 divided by 2.5? There's 5 times as many FHA short sales right now as there is conventional loan short sales. So that's why I'm picking that price range.
So what I did, I put in, they closed. I put in 2 different counties, so they might have it in one or 2 of them. Do you want my name, and do you want to email, or what else you want?
You can go ahead and text it. That's the easiest thing for you guys here, since I'll drop my contact info in here again. It's got my email. Either one, text it to me will work, because that's easy. You can do it on your phone, or send me an email there with the county, and kind of let me know that you're on this webinar with it and stuff, as a kind of extra bonus gift for you guys being live on it. And we're going to start to wrap it up here. So do we have any more questions? I do want to answer your questions. So Michael, Chapman, if you have a question, feel free to, unmute yourself and ask it. If there's anything I can do to help you out or answer anything that you heard tonight.
Actually, I'm basically new. I was just looking and listening just to learn a little bit more about short sales and what it all entails.
Okay, great. Yeah. It's a method of buying houses. And so, depending on what your real estate strategy is to get out of your day job, you will have to somewhere buy houses. It could be free and clear. It could be probate, many different ways. Obviously, since I'm the super group short sale, teacher leader, and I make $50,000 to $150,000 profit on houses, I think that's a pretty good way to buy houses with it. So, that's something that you want to kind of consider when you buy them so cheap like that. It's easy to get funding for them and stuff. So that's something that to keep in mind, is that you're getting so low, anybody's going to fund you to buy it and everything. But I'm glad you're here, Michael. I'll be glad to answer any questions. You've got my contact info on it. Anybody else got any questions?
Yes, I have a question again, David. How much would you say you would need to actually get started in funding?
Well, so as far as money to get started, the overall scope, really all you need is money for letters. So that website I showed you, you're going to get the name and address, and it's a different webinar. Okay. I understand that I can only cover so much, and if you text short to my phone number, it'll give you a longer version presentation and slides, but you're going to mail to those people a letter. So you'll need stamps and letters. After that, Dex, I don't want you spending any money on the processing of the short sale. Like, you're not going to pay for an appraisal. You're not going to pay for an inspection. You're not spending any money. When you come to closing, you need cash. You must buy in cash, but you can get that money from anybody. Okay, so when I say cash as is, that's the offer you present to the bank, but by law, you can close with a loan. And I always do, because I don't use my own money. I use private lenders. So, so in that case, you saw me buying houses for 20,000, 80,000, somewhere 110,000, and I'm making 150,000 on it. So I mean, if you had a good solid 150,000 in cash of your own, then you'd be good to go really easily. But once again, don't let it hold you back, because look, I said in my slides, I do funding. I fund people that are learning to do short sales all across the country. Okay. I want to make sure that you don't have that as even a second thought about, oh, wait a minute, if I am successful, I have to buy this house. Well, look, that's, you saw that I do lending. I'm not here to talk about my lending, but there are other people, when you're buying it for $29,600 and selling it for $275, there's money there for you. Any other questions? I appreciate the questions,
Yeah.
guys. Go ahead.
Thank you.
So when you say we have like 21 days or 30 days, whatever it is, depending on the state, but in St. Louis, well, Missouri, 21 days. Do you mean like we have 21 days to do what we got to do to get a hold of them and do the short sale started?
No, not quite. That's a good question. The 21 days is if you don't do anything, the bank takes the house back and it's too late. In the 21-day time frame, you're going to postpone the foreclosure, and then you're going to start the short sale later, which is why now in this forbearance mode, there are no foreclosure dates. You don't have to stop it. Okay. You don't have to stop a foreclosure date. So when you have 21 days, that's for you to get a hold of the seller, convince them to let you do the short sale, and text short to get the document you need, to convince the seller to let you do it, and then you contact the bank, and then there's a lot to the process, but then you request that the foreclosure get postponed, and which case they usually do, and then you start all that paperwork for the process of negotiating with the bank, and it takes 2 months, 3 months, 6 months on it. And then, yeah, it's a good question. You got another one, Alka?
No, that's it. I just want to say thank you.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. So another thing to keep in mind, the definition of a short sale is a missed one house payment. Okay, you do not want a foreclosure date. So right now, this is a huge benefit to all of us real estate investors. I can't emphasize this enough. You've got 5% of the entire population currently in 2021 that is in forbearance in foreclosure type status with no foreclosure date, but they've all missed a payment. Okay, and that's a short sale. So reach out to those people. Any other questions, guys, as we kind of wrap it up here on it? Feel free to contact me later with any questions also. Any last questions? Okay, let's see here. Okay, I guess you'd asked how often. Yeah, I'm terrible with the chat box, guys. Sorry. I think I probably answered. How often do you see short sales on the market? So the market is kind of a nebulous term. You know, there's a foreclosure date, then there's the MLS. So you're not going to see very many houses on the MLS that are short sales with it. You know, if they are, I want you to walk away from them. I do not want you doing a short sale that's listed on the MLS because the realtor screwed it up already. They've screwed it up. Okay, you are the one in charge and they've already taken steps that is wrong. First of all, they listed it at the wrong price. They didn't list it at $32,000 like I did. They listed it at the loan value. So do not look for them on the MLS. And then in general on the market, your market for you as an investor is all these people that are in forbearance. Okay. Now the ones that are in forbearance, they get kicked off of it and they go to become a foreclosure. And that's the slides I showed you earlier. Okay, so on those slides earlier, that is a foreclosure date. That is greatly reduced from pre-pandemic. So tune in for a future webinar where I show you how to find names before they have a foreclosure date, okay, before a date. But right now, the ones I showed you earlier on Missouri Lawyers Media, they have a foreclosure date. You know, they'll have them in your county. Those people are super easy to talk to because they're about to be kicked out of their house. You talk to them on the phone, they're going to agree very easily to let you help them because you're going to stop the foreclosure date with it. So that was a good question. I kind of missed that. Any other questions, guys, on it? Okay, one last shot here, and we're going to wrap it up. I want to welcome you or thank you for coming to the March 24th, 2021 webinar presentation number 2 on short sale profits super group. This is David Randolph here for educational purposes. Please text short if you want to get a free video and slides with that. So guys, I thank you, and we will see you next month with a brand new lesson with it. Okay.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Yep.
Thank you also. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. See you guys later.
Yeah, thank
See
you.
you.
Yep. Good night.